Hello, I'm Debbie Roy from Derry Community Television. I'm here today talking with Bill Jones, who is the Young Athletes Program Coordinator for Special Olympics. So we're going to talk a little bit today about Special Olympics and this Young Athletes Program, sometimes referred to as YAP. So welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Debbie. Nice to be here.
Good to have you today. So first, let's just start with Special Olympics and tell me a little bit how you got involved with Special Olympics.
I've been involved 22, maybe 23 years now, and in my corporate life, I got to know Special Olympics because they were a tenant in the building that I managed, and I got interested in what they were all about, and ended up serving on the board of directors for a number of years. So I got to know the organization from that perspective. I have twins who are 23 years old, and they both have what's known as Fragile X syndrome. So my son is autistic, and my daughter functions at a much higher level, and my daughter is an athlete with the Bedford Bobcats Special Olympics team over in Bedford, New Hampshire. So I got to know the organization from that perspective as well, from a parent's perspective. And when I retired from my corporate life about 2.5 years ago, I went to Special Olympics and said, I'd like to stay busy and I'd like to do something to help you out. Where do you think I could help? And we talked about the Young Athletes Program because New Hampshire had not done a lot with the implementation of this program, and it sounded like something that I would really enjoy. So my job as the Young Athletes Program Coordinator is to start programs throughout the state. And when I started 2.5 years ago, there was one program in the whole state, and I'm proud to say that we now have 23 programs. And one of the newest programs will be coming to Derry in March of this year.
Yep.
And I also jump in the ocean every February in the penguin plunge, which is a great activity. So if you want to have fun in February and jump in the freezing ocean, you can come and do that as well.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So you actually have a persona. How long have you been jumping in the ocean?
I have jumped in the ocean 15 years in a row, every year that they've had the event, and I'm known as Captain Plunger. You'd have to see the picture to understand that, but a lot of people have costumes, and I have one, and it just makes the day a lot more fun.
You've kind of become a celebrity. So from what I understand about the plunge in general, let's just talk about that, is once you get hooked, you're hooked. You like people that become to this organization because that's such a wonderful organization kind of stay and come year after year.
Yes. Yeah, once you've had exposure to Special Olympics, it does hook you. And it seems like you're hooked for life. And the penguin plunge is one of those things that once you've done it once, you seem to come back every year. We've got I forget, probably 400 high school students that do it on Saturday.
Wow.
And then we have 600, almost 700 adults that do it on Sunday.
And that's at Hampton Beach?
At Hampton Beach in February. And
don't you have another plunge coming up?
We have one. We have one in the Lakes region called the Winnie Dip, which is coming up in a couple of weeks in March. So we have the penguin plunge in Hampton, and we have the Winnie Dip up in the Lakes region. All
right, so we'll have to keep our lookout for that one in March.
Yes.
So let's get back to the Young Athletes Program. What is it? What is the Young Athletes Program? Who's it for? Okay,
in a nutshell, the Young Athletes Program is for children ages 2 to 7 with and without disabilities. And what it provides children is a 60-minute activity hour that's held once a week. And during that 60 minutes, the children are exposed to gross motor and fine motor activities. For as long as Special Olympics has been around, there's always been an awareness that there's something needed for the little kids, because you don't get to be a Special Olympic athlete until you turn 8 years old, and then you can train and you can compete. And we always knew that there was something that was needed for the younger kids. So back in the early 2000s, the folks in New Jersey had looked at a program that they created, and they used specialists from the fields of special ed, physical education, adaptive PE, physical therapy, and occupational therapy, and they came up with a program, and they called it the Young Athletes Program, and it was hugely successful in the New Jersey area, and it caught the attention of Special Olympics International, and the board of directors from Special Olympics International launched it on a worldwide basis in 2007. So we have the folks in New Jersey to thank for the program. So it's a weekly program of sports play activities. Again, the children are too young to compete, so we have them play in sports-related activities. And what it does is it helps these children develop physically, cognitively, and socially.
But they don't know. They're just having fun, getting some exercise, playing with toys, interacting with other kids.
Right. One of the best examples, I think I have it here, one of the best examples of the activities is what we call the scarf game. So we have a little scarf just to illustrate this. So the kids get together and they throw the scarf up in the air, or the adult assistant coaches will throw the scarf up in the air, and the kids have to catch it. And then they have to catch it on their arm, and they might have to catch it on their head. And it looks like fun, and it is fun, but what's really going on is it's hand-eye coordination, it's balance, it's listening to instructions, it's taking turns. So with something as simplistic as a scarf, you get a lot of dynamics going on. So all of the activities that the children participate in were designed to accomplish something in this regard.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting, and you told me this was actually developed by coaches and doctors and psychologists, and actually, you know, there's some interesting statistics, can't say that word,
yeah.
About this. And in an 8-week program, what kind of development, what do the kids get out of it?
There's been research that's been done by professors at the University of Massachusetts, and the documentation that they have shows that children who are involved in the 8-week curriculum, we run the program for 8 weeks. I'll come to the curriculum in just a minute, but we run the program for 8 weeks, and then we take a break, and then we start it back up again. But in the 8-week program, it's been proven that children can gain 7 to 9 months of developmental improvement in just the 8-week period. Wow. And that's huge. When you look at what motor development does in terms of all the different areas that it affects in children's vocabulary, their writing ability, their posture, it's a phenomenal impact that it has on these children. And it's just, it's amazing to think that they can get that much of a development in such a condensed period of time.
And it's not just the kids that get a benefit from this program either, you know.
Well,
talk about the parents a little
right.
bit.
Well, we talk about the children benefiting socially, cognitively, and physically. There's also a social benefit for the parents, and we don't talk about that. You won't see that in any of the literature. But when the parents bring their children into a gym, and they let the child go and begin to be involved in the activities, these parents will sit around the perimeter of the gym, and they will make friendships. And if you're the parent of a 4 or 5 year old child with a disability, it's a rough road. There's no owner's manual that shows you what to do. So you'll see these parents group together and make friendships, and they will start and explain or tell stories about their lives. And and you'll see that in any sport. I mean, whether it's Little League or anything else, you'll see the parents bond together, but it's especially strong in the world of special ed.
Yeah, it seems like they create a special bond that's almost lifelong bond.
Right.
You know, there's a few things that I love about this program, and one of them is, as a mother of some young children, I've noticed there's a lack of programs for children from age 2 to 7. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of activities for parents and babies, and there's lots of activities for school-age kids, but really there's not a whole lot for that group. Right. And there's a few things I love about the program, but one of them is I have 2 children, aged 2 and 5, and it's inclusive, so all children can come, special needs and all. So they're learning to be around different types of people, and you know, I think that's great.
Right,
you know?
and teaches them this at a very early age. Right.
Yeah.
Right. When again, just to repeat, ages. The program is for children ages 2 to 7 with and without disabilities, so it's an inclusive program. And what's great about that is if you're the family and you have a child with a disability and you have siblings who do not have a disability, they can come and participate in the program as well. And we're not very rigid or very strict about the date, the time that the child has to leave the program, even though we say 2 to 7. You might have a 7-year-old who is not developmentally ready to leave our program and go into a local Special Olympic program, so they can stay with our program longer. And conversely, you might have a 7-year-old who is ready to go and practice basketball with a local program, so we can begin that transition early on as well.
Yeah, they'll be familiar with the program, and you'll know the kids better too. Now, 8 weeks, that's a big commitment for parents, especially parents with young children, because you know, like, I don't know if I can commit to 8 weeks. So what is the commitment really?
Well, we have to mention that the program is free, so there is no sign up. And that somewhat hurts our attendance because it's not the typical, oh, I paid for all 8 weeks. I'm going to take you there because I've paid for all these 8 weeks. So we will see the attendance go up and down, but it does average out. Yeah. But the commitment is that when you drop your child off, we ask you to stay. This is not a babysitting arrangement. And by and large, most parents would want to stay and be able to see what their children are capable of doing. So yes, it is an 8-week commitment, and I think that as a parent, especially of a parent of a special needs child, when you find the value that the program begins to provide for your child, you will make sure that you're there every week.
Yeah, and most parents are there every week,
Right.
but if you have to miss a week, then it's not
Right.
the end of the world. You know,
Right.
you just pick up, you know, and these programs, they run how many times a year? A lot of communities will continue them.
Right. The Young Athletes program, generally speaking, follows the school calendar. So we run from maybe September and October. We get started, and we will have school vacation weeks or weeks that we would have a break. We take a nice long break over the holiday season, so we might run up through mid-December and stop and start again maybe mid-January. And then we run through May.
Yeah, and in the summertime, we
right,
take
right.
that off too, because
Right.
families are usually out doing things anyway together.
Right, and then we stop for the summertime and start back up again in the fall.
Now, can you tell me, and I've heard a few, because I'm like I said, I'm very excited that Derry's going to be offering this program, but I've heard a few stories about some of the experiences of the children. So can you, I mean, you told me once about a child that was so shy that she wouldn't even leave her
Oh, I can
side.
tell you lots. I can tell you lots of stories. Yeah, there was a little girl down in Nashua, and when I went to visit the program, this little girl was very extremely shy. It was almost debilitating, and the mother would have to go up with the little girl in order for the little girl to participate in the activities. And the coaches are very engaging and trying to draw the child into the activities. And I went back and visited that program about 3 months later. And there was the mom sitting down with the other parents, and the little girl was up doing the activities with the children. So you can see that over the weeks that had passed, she'd become easier and more relaxed and was able to participate with the kids. And the other story I love to tell is about a young little girl in our Manchester program. And one of the activities that we have has little cones, and the cones have a bar across them, and there's a series of bars, and they're only about maybe 3 or 4 inches off the ground, and the children have to step over the bars and hop over the bars if they can. And this little girl was unable to step over the bars without someone putting their hand out, and she would grab the hand to get the balance and the stability that she needed, and then she could step over these little bars. And that's where she began. And I went back and visited that little girl at the end of the 8-week program, and I was amazed to see her hopping over the bars all by herself.
Wow.
So in the 8-week period, you can see that she had picked up on her balance and her stability and her strength and her confidence to be able to hop over those bars. And I went on to talk to the mother about how she would take her to the playground, and they have a balance beam at the playground, which was nothing more than a stripe that was painted on the concrete. And this was a little girl who had really no balance at all. I'm not sure what the nature of her disability was, but clearly you could see that she struggled. And when she would go to the playground now with her mother, she would go up and down this balance beam, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and her mother would have a hard time getting her off of this balance beam.
You know, it's a good problem to have, you know, like I said, just to see kids, and they grow so fast anyway, but to see them develop like that is pretty amazing.
And this little girl this was a year ago with this little girl, and when I visited the program this year, this little girl is back with us, and her mother is now taking her to ballet lessons.
Wow.
So you go all the way from this little girl who couldn't step over these things to a mom who's now taking her to ballet lessons. So
and that's balance.
That's,
you need balance for that. Now, there's another thing that I love about this program. Like I said, it's been around for how many years? 7 years, I think you said?
Well, the Special Olympics International launched it in 2007. New Hampshire did a little bit with it a few years ago. We only had one program surviving, which was in Nashua, and I came in September of 2011. And charged with the responsibility of getting new programs started. So we've been slowly getting them started, and we're going pretty fast now up to the 23 programs that we have.
So that's the other thing I love about this program, because I first learned about it through Derry Parks and Rec, and we'll be offering it here. But what I loved about it, because I was looking for a program for that age range, from 2 to 7. Again, it's free, and I was asking about that, and at the same time we were talking with you, and it's amazing. For this program, you provide everything.
Yes.
Special Olympics provides everything. You're just looking for volunteers to be coaches, right? So you provide the T-shirts, and I think we have some here. So all the participants get a T-shirt.
Yes. What we do for the children, we have this T-shirt. I'm not sure which camera to show it on, but we have a T-shirt that we provide for all the children, so that their name can be written in here, and the children will wear the T-shirt every week. And so those are given out the first couple of nights, so the first couple of weeks that the children are involved. And we also have this T-shirt up front, which goes to all the coaches, which I think it's very important that when the parents come into a gymnasium and they want to see who's in charge, well, all the coaches would be wearing this type of a t-shirt, their name is on the other side, and it's very easy to see who is in charge.
Yeah. But over and above that, because this is such a well-established program, you provide all the equipment, the scarves, the toys, as well as actual programs. You have different activities the coaches can do. They just pick from a variety of them. It's such a great structure. I was amazed. I was blown away to see everything that you had. And if you want to take a look at home, you can go to the website, www.sonh.org, and you can look up Young Athletes by looking on the sports and competitive events tab, and there's the young athletes. But on that site, there's our videos of some of the activities.
Right. If you follow those directions, you will end up at what's called the YAP Toolkit. And the YAP Toolkit contains the activity guide and the curriculum that we follow. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I do, because like I said, that blew me away. It was like...
Well, we have, what we do is we have an activity guide. This is the manual right here. We have an activity guide and a curriculum. And this book is provided for all the coaches who run the program, so they know exactly what to do. So the 8 weeks that we run the program is really this 8 weeks of activities. So we start with what we call foundational skills. These are skills that get the children used to playing with this type of equipment. It gets them used to listening to instructions. And then we go on to walking and running activities in week number 2. Balance and jumping in week number 3, trapping and catching week number 4, throwing, striking, kicking, and then we have advanced skills where we wrap everything together. So these are the 8 weeks that we progress through. These are the fine motor, gross motor activities. Again, all designed to help the children develop. We always start the 60 minutes with the children sitting on a rug. We buy every program a rug. It's called a Lots of Dots rug. It's like a little magnet, little island, and the children sit there and they will sing a song where they will introduce their name. And then we get up and we do the activities. At the end of the 60 minutes, we come back and we have a cool down activity where the children will calm down before we hand them back to their parents, and they will calm themselves down. So what we end up with is a curriculum that we provide for the coaches that show them all of the activities that they can pick and choose from to make up the 60-minute window of activity as the week goes on.
Yeah.
And what's great is with all the different programs we have operating in the state, we have lots of practice coaches who are running these programs who have developed these agendas and are willing to share them.
Yeah, it's a great community.
With new coaches, right. And yes, we do buy all the equipment. We buy what's called the agency kit, the secondary kit. We buy the rug. We have a nice big banner that we put on the wall that will have the Young Athletes logo, and it'll say Derry on there, because if people walk by and they see the children in this room playing and having fun, I think it's important that they have an identity. So that's the reason that we have the banner. It's also a nice backdrop when it's time for photos. What we do at the end of the season, generally in May, is we have what we call a culmination event, sort of a celebration of running the program throughout the year. And what we provide for the children is a little medal.
Yeah.
And it's a small variation on the Special Olympics medal, and every child gets a medal. And we generally invite the law enforcement community to come in. They're such good friends with Special Olympics throughout the state that if you ask for an officer to come in uniform for just a half hour or so and hand out the medals to the kids, they're always willing to do it in any of the communities we have throughout the state. We also give a little certificate to the children to show that they've completed the program, and it's just the way that we wrap up the end of the season.
Yeah. And I just want to mention, going back to some of the activities we provide, that there's so many things and so many different props and things that you give them that the 8 weeks is never the same.
No.
So a lot of people will sign up and then come back for the next session.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We'll run 8 weeks. We'll take a break and we'll come back and start another 8-week session up. But again, just as you mentioned, week number 2 will never look the same as it did the first time you've run it, because as you go, you'll find out which activities work best with your children and which ones you might want to substitute when you run week number 2 for a second time. So no, it never gets boring.
So if there's a community that wants to offer this program, like I said, you have everything, so they just need someone to volunteer to run it?
Yes. The key foundational pieces to getting a Young Athletes program started in any community in New Hampshire would be the practice coach. That's a person in the community who's willing to take on the responsibilities. I mean, I'm there to help get everything started and ordered and get you the equipment, get you the banner, get you the rug, get you the t-shirts, get you all the things you needed to get started. But we'd like to have somebody who's established in the community, who knows the community, who can help spread the word, And we generally have a ratio of about 1 to 4. We like to have one adult or one high school volunteer for about every 4 children.
That brings me to my next thing that's unique about this is you have the head coach, but then you also have volunteer coaches that help, support the children so that there's always one-on-one attention if needed.
Right. We have a lot of high school students throughout the state who end up helping us as assistant coaches. A lot of the high schools have community service hours that they have to commit, and this is a great opportunity. We even have in some locations in Bedford, we have a program where a senior, as their senior project, is actually running the Young Athletes program under the direction of the practice coach. So once that's established, it seems now that every year we're going to have a senior who's willing to actually run the program. So if you have students who are seniors in high school and they think they're going on to education or special education, this is a great program for them to get involved in.
Yeah, and it just like I said, it sounds rewarding on so many levels. Rewarding for the children actually participating, rewarding for the parents who get to socialize with other parents, rewarding for the coaches to see the development, and to the community. I think it's a great asset to any community.
Right. Well, I'm so pleased that the Derry Parks and Recs has taken on the responsibility to launch this program. What's nice about Parks and Recs is that they have a sense of community involvement, and they're very much sports-minded to begin with, and they understand that this gives them an opportunity to provide something to a segment of the population, which there is nothing. There is nothing like this that these kids can go to.
I think it's such a needed service.
Yeah.
Now, do you find that a lot of times someone initiating this program, is it usually Parks and Rec or the schools, or is it kind of a mix?
It's a mix. It's a mix. No two programs are alike anywhere in the state, and they're not meant to be either. None of them seem to run at the same time because we have community-based programs that will run on a Tuesday afternoon at 5:30 to 6:30. We have programs that will run on a Sunday afternoon from 1 to 2. That largely depends upon the availability of the space.
Yep.
So if we're fortunate enough to get space in a school gymnasium or a church recreation hall, and we get the space for free, then it's a marriage of the availability of the space and the availability of the practice coach. That's when we're able to offer the program.
Okay. Now, again, if someone's interested in either joining the program or volunteering to run a program or just want to learn more about it, what's the best way? Obviously, there's a website. I'll include that at the end of the link, at the end of the show. They can contact their community. They can contact Special Olympics directly. Right.
If anyone was interested in launching a program in their community, they could contact the Special Olympics office in Manchester. The number there is 624-1250, and we can help them out in finding a program that may be close to them already. Excuse me. So if they'd like to get their child involved, hopefully it'll be in close proximity to the 23 locations that we have. If they were interested in starting a program brand new in their community, we'd love to talk to them about being able to do that as well. And for the people in Derry, please get in touch with the Derry Parks and Recreation Department. What we have done is we've limited the participation to 15 children to begin with. Because you can't have too large a group because then you're not going to do an effective job.
Yeah, you don't get the one-on-one attention.
Right, so it's going to be a first come, first serve for the first 15 children. Now these are children with and without disabilities. So if children come in after that number of 15 and we have extra coaches, then we may go to the waiting list and bring more children in to be involved in the program. But generally the programs will be 20 children. And again, you can't have 40, 50 children because you can't do an effective job.
And again, those are individual children. Some families might have 2 or 3 children, that maybe fit in that range. And is it always the parent and child, or can it be a caretaker?
It can be a caretaker, sure.
As long as there's someone there to represent the child.
Right. Okay. Right.
Well, it sounds like such a great program. I'm so happy that Derry's going to be offering it and that you guys have created it. Is there anything that we didn't go over that you'd like to mention?
I can't think of anything that we missed. I know that when Derry does this program, I just met with the special ed department this morning, and they're very excited to see the program coming to the Derry community. And you know, you may see this program implemented in other ways in the months ahead. So
Yeah.
I think we just want to have this preliminary 8-week session, see how it goes, and we'll decide on how we can grow the program from here.
Yeah, it's a great pilot program from Derry, but I just want to stress that, you know, this can be for any community, and
Yes.
if there's an interest in the community, they should just contact Special Olympics, because
Yes.
I think every community should have something, a program like this.
Well, you know, one of the things when I go out and I talk to different civic groups or parent support groups, the number one reason that we need to implement these programs is because these children are already there. They're already in these communities.
Yeah.
They're already there to be served. So that's the number one reason that we do it. And the number one reason that it doesn't get done is because it's work. Because it's work.
It's rewarding.
Well, when you find the right, when you find the right person to be the practice coach, it's a passion, it's a joy, and they don't look upon it as work.
Yeah.
And I'm a volunteer at Special Olympics, and when you volunteer and you get involved in Special Olympics, it's a joy and it's a pleasure to be able to do it.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm going to be very happy to be part of this. So I just want to reiterate, this program is free. It's a free program for children aged 2 to 7. It's inclusive. It's for children with and without special needs. To find out more about the program, you can go to the website www.sonh.org, or for the town of Derry, visit the Derry Parks and Recreation Department. So again, I'm Debbie Roy for Derry Community Television. This has been a program about the Young Athletes Program from Special Olympics, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Debbie.
Bill.
Thank you, Debbie.